They delivered me into the hands of the palace guards, who delivered me into the walls of a holding cell. I had a bad feeling about the way things were going. Mostly people who were sent to the patrician for trial got seen right away. Rumor had it that being put in a holding cell pending trial was like being filed away in a drawer marked forgotten, and not a very big drawer at that. The wall to the cell had a nice dank feel to it. I expect it was Cell Wall of the Month in Home and Dungeon. The door to the cell was so stereotypical I half expected to look around and find a bearded old man manacled to the wall. I could find nothing out of the ordinary about the wall. I pounded on the door, but no one seemed to care. Fast little fellow, he disappeared the moment I started moving. No matter what I did, that rat was too quick for me. I could find... Fast little fellow. As I worked my fingers around the crack, it became clear that the crack was the side of a loose slab. The other side of the wall was another cell, but nothing like the holding cell. This was full of sketches and models, tools and materials. It looked more like a workshop, and there was someone working in it.
Would you like a cup of tea?
No, thanks.
Are you sure? Or are they not drinking tea outside anymore?
Outside?
The city. I take it you're from the city. How is it? Same as ever, I suppose.
You're Leonard de Quirm.
Yes, I am.
I'd found Leonard de Quirm. The man was almost a legend. There was no disputing that Leonard was a technological genius. But this meant he was as dangerous to the precarious stability of Ankh-Morpork as a compulsive smoker in a firework factory. Rumor had it that the patrician had locked him in a nice airy cell for everyone's safety, because Leonard was the kind of guy who'd light any fuse for the innocent pleasure of seeing what kind of bang he could make. The only other thing I could recall was that although the guy was hot stuff at the nuts and bolts, he was definitely at the bottom of the class when it came to thinking up names. The patrician keeps you imprisoned here,
Sorry?
You're working for the patrician?
Not really. He calls from time to time and has a look at some of my sketches. Nice man. He keeps me abreast of events on the outside.
What's that you're working on?
This is my flapping wing flying device. I built a small prototype out of gutta-percha strips, twisted tightly together, and it worked. Although not very well. Now I'm building a full-scale model.
Does it fly?
Not yet. But once I've solved the problem of the weight of the holding it together frame and the mechanical faults with the spinning blades radiating from the central hub, it should do. I was having trouble getting enough force to twist the blades together, but the troll the other week sorted that out for me.
Troll?
Yes. He was staying in your room before you. He made this window for me so I could watch the bird. Always good for inspiration are the birds. Not that I don't have enough inspiration as it is. Damn things. Just once I'd like to wake up without finding my sheets covered in sketches of novel designs for apple peelers.
Did you give the troll some metal strips by any chance?
Yes. He made them into a metal hook with prongs, I believe. Not one of my designs.
His name was Malachite.
Was it? It's possible. I never was good with names.
Hello again, Leonard.
Yes. Hello?
What are you doing?
I'm deeply immersed in a mechanical problem.
Can I help?
It's not likely.
I kept waiting for him to say something else, but he was lost in his work. The gaping hole had been created by Malachite to escape from the palace. Leonard liked to think of it as a window. At that moment, I thought I heard the sound of someone at the door to my cell. My heart leapt to my throat and narrowly missed my tonsils. I had to get back to my cell and fast.
Hello, Luton.
Nobby, what are you doing here?
I've come to let you go.
Does Vimes know you're here?
Yeah, he sent me.
What happened?
There's a witness to Malachite's murder. Saw the whole thing, although not very well. He couldn't identify the killer, but from the description we got from him, we can rule out you.
So, I'm off the hook?
More or less.
Vimes must be livid.
I've seen him happier, but he's still convinced you're involved in this somehow.
I dare say he has a point, actually. But I'm not a cold-blooded killer, whatever he may think. Who was the witness?
A gargoyle up on the roof of the clerk's office on Salis Street.
What did he see?
I'm not supposed to discuss that with you. Come on, let's get you out of here.
You won't get any arguments from me.
Right, here's your stuff.
Where's the crowbar?
We're keeping that as evidence.
Yeah, right. I'll see you around, Nobby. Thanks for coming to get me out. I appreciate it.
That's what friends are for, isn't it?
Friends are for getting you out of a holding cell?
Could be. I ain't got that many.
You won't get any argument from me. See you later. I had this feeling that I was caught in the middle of something big, but I still hadn't a clue what it was. All I could do was keep searching and hope that sooner or later I'd stumble upon the truth. Well, maybe not stumble, just very carefully put my foot on it and hope the other end didn't come up and hit me in the teeth. Two of the palace guards, ever vigilant for a potential intruder. Something like that, anyway. Shouldn't you have stopped me by now?
What? What do you mean?
Well, I'm practically into the palace itself, and you haven't even asked who I am.
We can already tell you aren't important.
Not important? I might be a foreign spy.
Accent's too clean for that. I'd say you were born here in Ankh-Morpork.
How can you tell?
Accents. He knows them all.
Ah, hidden talents, eh?
We're guards. All our talents are hidden.
So, you're members of the illustrious palace guards, are you?
Illustrious? Do you know what it means to be a palace guard? We're arrow fodder. If anyone with half-decent skills breaks into the palace, you'll be picking our limbs out of the tapestries.
So why do you do it?
It beats being in the city watch.
And the uniforms are much nicer, too. You used to be in the City Watch, didn't you?
You can tell that from my accent.
Would I lie to you?
So, you're an expert on accents.
Oh, yeah. I can tell all sorts of things about you.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
From the stress in your voice, I'd say you experienced a major emotional event about 8 years ago. You like to drink, but if you're not careful, you drink to excess. And you like whiskey.
That really is incredible. Anything else?
That's about it.
You didn't say which part of the city I was born in.
No. That's trickier.
You can tell that I drink whiskey from my accent, but you can't tell which part of the city I was born in.
Well, it comes and goes.
You don't know anything about accents, do you?
Of course he doesn't. He just has a good memory.
You were in the bucket a couple of years ago. You were probably too drunk to remember it.
A couple of years ago, I was too drunk to remember anything. So if you don't know anything about accents, how do you know I'm not a threat to the palace?
If you knew what it was we were guarding, you'd understand.
Is it really that dangerous working for the palace?
Oh, yeah. Our lives could come to a bloody end at any moment.
He's lying, of course. He's always lying. No enemies have ever entered Ankh-Morpork since it was founded.
What about the dwarf attack in the reign of Veltric II? Or the barbarian invasion in the time of Webblethorpe the Unconscious?
Well, of course, technically, we've been invaded quite frequently, but, you know how it is. The guys arrive, they meet a nice local girl, and anyway, their leaders suddenly don't want all the big houses burned down because now they own them, and they find sleeping on real beds is a treat after all that time in the saddle. And what with one thing and another, it all ends peacefully.
In other words, you don't have much to do.
Well, there's a lot of standing around to do, but it's not like the golden age of the kings of Ankh.
The Golden Age?
Well, it was a time long enough ago that no one can remember how wretched it was.
What is it you're guarding?
Every way into and out of the palace has to be guarded, and we guard one of those.
That's a little vague.
We guard the vital export of post-palatial merchandise.
We guard the trash heap.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
Where is it?
The trash heap? It's around the corner.
But don't steal anything. That's palace garbage. By royal appointment.
Well, by the patrician's appointment.
That's good enough for me.
Do you know a lot about the kings of Ankh?
Oh, sure. The whole history of the monarchy.
How come?
Oh, hanging around palaces. You pick up that kind of thing.
What happened to the kings of Ankh?
Well, the real line came to an end about 2,000 years ago. And after that, we got 17 centuries of a monarchy where the crown was available to anyone with enough soldiers and a strong stomach.
That couldn't have been very stable.
Stable? Ha! Not many lines survived more than 2 or 3 generations. Some of them didn't even make it to the end of the coronation feast.
The shortest reign on record was that of Loyola the Arg at 1.13 seconds.
Can't have been much of a monarch.
That's nothing. For a week, Ankh-Morpork was technically ruled by a wasp. And for several days, by the left foot of the High Priest of Io, who dropped the crown on it during the crucial point of the ceremony.
The foot was one of the better rulers, apparently. Made good decisions.
See you around.
If you say so.
The palace walls were useful for keeping intruders out and keeping the roof in place. Looking closely, I could see the other side of the hole in the wall that I'd seen from inside Leonard's cell. Right under the patrician's nose. It was just crazy enough to work. But I'd have to be sure I could get up there first. The palace wall, looking... It hadn't been, of course. It always looked much easier in the clickies. I figured the golem wouldn't notice that the crowbar had gone missing. Not that I'm saying it didn't need it, just that I'd figured I'd get away with stealing it. I've done it. I've found somewhere to hide him.
Where?
Where no one would even think about looking. Somewhere that only the patrician and I know exists, I reckon.
The patrician and you? What if the patrician finds 2 conkers there?
2 conkers should be able to hide without too much difficulty. Besides, I have a feeling that if Lord Veterinary meets 2 conkers, he'll have a different take on this situation. He doesn't like to see useful people get killed. Besides, I am sure this is the only place in Ankh-Morpork that he'll be safe from Remora. Is it okay to move him?
He should be okay.
To be feeling much better in thankings. Sure he's not still delirious?
Sometimes I wonder.
Let's go. Hello again, Leonard.
Hello. I'm afraid I had to go back to the drawing tablet with the spinning blades radiating from central hub. It was too heavy. The device flew all right, but only in a downward trajectory.
That is looking like some kind of fluttering machinery.
Yes, I call it a flapping wing flying device, but it isn't working yet.
May I take a look?
Be my guest.
Are you to be considering the increasings of the wingtitude?
The span of the wings? I considered it, but the weight is still the problem.
What if you be using bombastic wood for the frame? It hadn't occurred to me that 2 conkers would have any practical skills, but I guess you didn't carry out complex excavations without learning a thing or two about engineering. I left him to get to know Leonard and hooked up with Ilsa. She had a deal to keep.